Hello, everybody. Today we're Dave Ramsey is responsible for a lot of the financial decisions that a lot of Americans make, and one of the financial decisions that we all have to make is buying a home. Now, whether you agree or disagree with his whole philosophy about money in general, what is interesting to talk about is his recent thoughts on the housing market. So today I decided to watch his most recent video, I think, which was about a few weeks ago. This market's changing every month, but I'll definitely, if there's anything new, I would love to react to it as well. But I just want to kind of, watch it and just share my thoughts with you guys and see if I agree or disagree. This is, I started watching it like 1 or 2 minutes in, then I decided to stop and record myself. So let's get to it.
But a lot of people were predicting 2008 again, that real estate prices were going to absolutely tank.
There has been people that have gone as crazy, and there's always the people that are the extremists, right? They want to be the next Michael Burry so bad that they're saying that. But I think it's really it's easy to disregard the crazies, but we shouldn't disregard the people that maybe are more in the middle. They're like, hey, there's a lot of bloat right now, and it's gonna correct itself. So just want to make sure to correct that. As you can tell, I'm not used to these reactions, so I don't know when to stop talking.
We said they are not going to tank because there is a pool of buyers that is much larger than the pool of sellers still, and the supply-demand curve will maintain the prices, meaning when you have a whole bunch of people trying to buy a few things, it holds prices up. It's that simple.
I agree. I do think there is going to be a reduction of bloat first, and then it's going to get kind of propped up by all the people that are on the sidelines, but for it to say that it's not going to drop, though, I don't think that's correct.
There's a scarcity. Prices go up, or at least are maintained at a minimum. And we said, of course, the exception to that is the areas where people are leaving en masse. Showed a map of the number of people that have left New York and left California and have left some of the high crime cities and crazy politics of all kinds, defund the police or whatever else cities. And so, and we said, so far, though, even those areas have not seen decreases in real estate values. I
don't know if that's too correct. Anybody in those cities, I'd love to hear your thoughts. From my understanding, yes, there's specific cities, like especially LA, but all the other normal areas, I'm not sure if that's the truth.
It was about
I don't have any proof, though. So
3 months ago. Reports are coming out right now. We just got one dropped on the desk. Western U.S. continues to lead in home price declines. So now California is seeing the mass exodus of California starting to affect pricing there in some of the areas. Of the top 100 cities, the city that has taken the largest drop in price declines so far is Seattle. High crime situation with the animal.
Okay, so I didn't understand what he was trying to say at first. He's saying that the cities that are being affected are the quote-unquote high crime cities that are the quote-unquote political, like, defund the police. So what's happening here is it's very, in a way, hurtful. Like, just because these cities have political ideas you don't agree with, you don't have to necessarily, it's them. Those are the ones with big problems. Those are the cities. And of course, this audience who listens to this are going to eat that stuff up. So when they hear these like trigger words, it's going to give them comfort. Oh, it's just those cities. It's not just those quote unquote political cities with high crime areas that are being affected.
Anarchists taking down the entire downtown area and have made it impossible to function economically in that beautiful downtown area of Seattle. It's a gorgeous city. Or it was. For Burnett, it's very difficult to run a business. It's kind of basic, common sense stuff. And so these areas are getting hammered. Their home appreciation values dropping like crazy. Meantime, Louisville, Birmingham, southern cities in Texas, southeast are going up in value. During the time some of you predicted that Dave Ramsey, this isn't going to age well. It's going to be 2008 again. The entire thing's going to crash. And I kept telling you, no, here's the numbers. It's not going to crash. And so we're here to tell you the numbers are coming out, and we told you so.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's so hard to make general assumptions about the entire market. And I don't say if, when I've done that in the past, I apologize for that, because it's a very sensational way to get a lot of clicks and a lot of views for videos, but it is borderline unhealthy, because not unhealthy is the right word. I would say probably dangerous. Because if I'm here talking about, the Phoenix market and what I think is going to happen to the market based on my idea of what's happening in mine, and you're a home buyer in a small town and somewhere else, you're going to look at what I'm saying and as data, and that's it. Or you're looking on realtor.com data and that you're putting into some kind of software to make it seem like it's your data, but really it's just public information, where basically these big cities are focusing on major cities as well. Sorry, those big sites are focusing on major cities. It's really, you have to be very careful. Like, even this data that's being shared now, you want to look at local data. You want to find that out. And I think what I might do is I might make a video on how to collect your own data, because it's really, really important that you're analyzing your own stuff. And like it or not, a lot of agents and lenders have access to this data. So having a decent connection with one of them probably will be helpful. Obviously, hopefully not too much of a sales one, but getting that data and analyzing it for yourself is much more valuable than people who are reading data off public data for major cities, if that makes sense. Even if you're nearby a major city, it still could be risky.
Are winners and losers, another article states. And yes, those that got houses when the interest rates were super low are cheering for themselves. But those that want to get into a house, it's not too late for you either, because the competition has slowed down.
Well, here's what happened. We had this huge increase in 20, record house price increase. In 21, 18% up, right? 29% up in 20. And then we said, 22 is going to be 7 or 8% up, which appears to be holding nationally. Now, locally, we've had some areas that are down 5% or down 10%. We've got other areas that are up 5%. But
I'm drinking my Dutch Bros. People are like, oh, old man politics. Oh, he drinks Dutch Bros.
Seems to be that we're going to be in the 5 to 7% by year end. That prediction was made by other people, but the data that we had seemed to support it, and we went with that, and it looks like that's going to be about true. In 2023, we said is going to return to normal price increases in homes of 2 to 5%, and the data is still indicating that that's what's going to happen. All of this to say that
maybe, but there has to be a reduction of bloat first. Once I keep using that word because honestly I love that word. It's how I feel after a night of bad decisions with all kinds of leftover bread. Like, you're late at night and you're ravenous for no reason and everyone's asleep, and you decide to go through your pantry and you find all the freaking expired pastries and desserts, and then you feel really bloated the day after. That's the kind of bloat I'm talking about. That's the kind of bloat this housing, once again, I don't want to make a generalization of all the market, at least in my specific markets that I'm aware of, there's a lot of bloat that needs to get reduced. So once we get to that point of healthy growth of 2 to 5%, I think we will get to that point, but there needs to be a lot of reduction first. There needs to be probably another census as well, because there was a massive spread of population throughout the country. So we're not sure, if the incomes are correct right now, because if the census is using, their housing programs and whatnot are using the data that they've collected from the previous census, I guarantee you that there's certain cities around the country that the median income has gone up tremendously. And that's not going to actually be represented, especially in loan programs and whatnot, until we get to that done. So there's a lot of check boxes that need to be checked marked first before we can get back to that healthy. And 2023 is definitely an aggressive position. I would say probably closer to 2025. And let's keep watching. We'll see. And I will give my thoughts at the end of the video.
You're watching the news, and the inflation is horrible. The worst inflationary economy in 40 years right now. And you're going to the polls in a week, or you're going to the polls right. I'm going today.
This was recorded a month ago, just so you remember.
Early vote. Make sure I, do what I can to correct this.
What do you mean by that, Dave?
All of that aside, the thing that's happening with real estate is interest rates have gone way up. They're bumping up
Almost
close to 7% now on a 30-year fixed.
And since that month, we're about low sixes, just so you know.
Up from the threes. And, 7% in the scope of a life as long as mine is very low. I remember lots of years selling real estate, 11, 12%, 10%, 9%.
I made a video about this point. and I hate to plug myself, but this is a lot of something, especially people that are trying to push you to buy a house sooner, or like a lot of the old heads like to bring up. Please, please, please don't fall for this common sales tactic. I made this video where I get really deep into this idea that agents give you, and I really, really recommend it. When you're done with this video, go watch it. It's I had crazy hair then. This one right here with the clown. Rates are historically low. You should still buy. Please go watch that. It is a false idea. Oh, I still have my alerts on. Whoopsies.
Lots of years I was on the radio, it was 10%. When I started this show, it was 10%. And so then it came down to 6, and we thought we were in nirvana. But then when it goes to 3 and it goes up to 7, see, 7's not good as compared to 3, but it's really good compared to 12. So it's an emotional thing.
Yeah, bro, but 12% prices were... Sorry, I went over it in the video, but I just have to say prices were less than half what they are now. And it's, of course, 12%, so like high, but compared to the prices, we should even be near 6-7% compared to the prices that we have.
That's what I'm telling you. The other article we got was from Bloomberg. It talks about the people that have bought homes, their values are continuing to go up, especially if you bought like in Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee.
Very specific cities. Very specific cities. Once again, just because it's working for one person doesn't. There's what is it called? Something bias, survivor's bias, or whatever. Just because one person or one city's doing great doesn't mean all the cities will.
You bought in these areas, Dallas, Texas. You're buying in Phoenix, Arizona. Have they gone down a little bit in some of those areas in the last 4 or 5 months? Yeah,
Phoenix,
a little bit.
Asking prices too.
And the price asking, because some of them have really gone crazy up. And so it's settling, but it's not diving, it's not crashing. And what's happening is these people that bought are going to become inordinately more wealthy over the next 3 years than people who rented, because rents are also going through the roof.
That's true. People that decided to buy instead of rent, their rents are going to go up, and they secured a lower rate. And the time to buy was years ago. When I was telling you guys to make wise financial decisions in 2019, 2020, even early 2021, I was telling you guys, make wise decisions, buy with your budget in mind. And everyone was listening to everyone else saying the market's going to crash. Those people have a low rate and they have a really good position now. But then again, I can only say that counting backward, right? So, it's easy to say I was right, but.
And so rents are sucking the disposable income out of the renter's budget, where when you buy, because guess what happens to rents? Every year they go up, just about. Almost every single year rents go up. When you buy a house at 6% or 7%,
your mortgage stays the same.
It doesn't go up. You're locking in one of your largest expenses, and the value of the property is going up because it's not crashing. Unless you're in one of those areas we mentioned, right? It's not crashing. Based on home ownership is going to be more and more of a thing. And so what all that is to say is, if you haven't bought a house and you're thinking about buying a house and you're sitting on the sidelines waiting on interest rates to come down, they're not going to come down in any minute. And waiting on house prices to come down, they're not going to come down. They're going to go up. You need to go buy a freaking house right now. It's a great time to buy a house because there's not a line of people around the block trying to buy that house right this second. You're not going to steal it. And if you're getting ready to sell a house, you need to have the expectation it's going to take you 90 days to sell a house right now, like it has most of the time in the history of real estate. And if you're thinking about buying, you ought to go buy right now.
Oh, boy. Listen, I get accused of being in this camp all the time, which I don't blame you guys. I am a real estate agent, and I make a living off of it. I told you guys I don't like realtors, and sometimes that means I don't like myself. But, it's the path I've chosen, and it's how I feed my kids. So I have to, I accept that, and I take that. But to tell people right now is a good time to buy is not correct. Right now, buying a house is a decision that you're making not necessarily as a financial, logically sane thing to do. You're doing it out of necessity. You're going to have to move. There's no plan Bs, and you don't want to rent. Renting is going to cost about the same monthly payment. If the rent, I shouldn't assume. If the monthly rent is the same monthly payment for the house you're looking about buying, then it's a financial decision that you have to make. But to make it seem like it's the perfect time and this is it, take advantage, their houses are only keep going up and up and up, unless you live in these specific cities, I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. People are not dumb. We have to be honest with people. Hey, it's not the best time to buy right now. It's kind of crappy. You know, you might lose. You're in the middle of a bloat reduction, right? You might lose some equity. Sorry, not equity. Yeah, you might lose some value on the house once you buy it. You know what? But at the end of the day, if you're making a decision based off your monthly budget, what you can actually afford, and you're making that decision based off your necessity of where you're going, like where your situation is, then it might make sense to do it. But at the end of the day, you know, it's no secret. Part of the reason why I think the push for people to continue to buy is because obviously Dave Ramsey owns a giant agent and lender. I think the owner of a lender company, mortgage company, and he's a big partner in an agent referral network. And it's in the best interest, and I think it's one of their biggest money makers to continue to push that. And I'm a hypocrite, of course, because a big income source for me as well is my agent referral program. But I think at the end of the day, I would rather tell people the truth, and maybe I won't get high numbers in the next 3 to 6 months while people wait. And when that time comes, I can be that trusted source for people, and then they can come back later. So at the end of the day, guys, even if it's my opinion or someone else's opinion, always take it with a grain of salt. Analyze your local data, and of course, go watch that video I mentioned and let me know what you guys think. Appreciate it. Ciao.